$1 million. That's the number most people have in their head when they think retirement. No panic, no second job, no checking the account 3 times a day. Just done. Sounds reasonable, right? Here's the problem. If you're 30 years old right now and you haven't started seriously investing, there's a real mathematical chance you cannot reach that number. Not because you're irresponsible, not because you're bad with money, but because something has already been working against you, quietly, every single day. And here's what makes it worse. Most people don't find out until it's too late to fix it. Let's talk about that. There's a script most of us grew up with. Study hard, get a job, work your way up, save a little along the way, and somewhere around 65, you'll be fine. Nobody told you exactly what fine looks like. Nobody gave you a number. Nobody showed you the math. They just said, you'll figure it out. And so most people do what feels logical. They focus on building income first, pay off debt, get stable, enjoy their 20s a little, and then, at some responsible-sounding age, they'll get serious about money. So let me ask you directly, when did you plan to start? Meet Jake. Jake is 25. He's got a decent job. Not rich, but comfortable. He's heard about investing. He knows he should probably do something. But right now, life is expensive, and honestly, he has time. So Jake makes a decision. I'll start at 35. I want to live first. I'll be making more money by then anyway. I'll catch up. That one decision, that completely reasonable-sounding plan, will cost Jake over $500,000. Let's show you exactly how. 2 people, same job, same income, same $500 a month to invest, same 7% average annual return. One difference: when they start. Scenario A starts at 25, invests $500 a month, 7% return, 40 years until age 65. Scenario B starts at 35, same $500 a month, same 7% return, 30 years until age 65. Same discipline, same monthly amount. 10 years difference. Now, which line do you think pulls ahead? Scenario A ends at roughly $1.2 million. Scenario B ends at roughly $610,000. That gap is $587,000. Jake waited 10 years. He didn't stop saving, he didn't gamble, he didn't make any mistakes. He just waited 10 years. And that decision, that single delay, cut his retirement in half. Here's what's actually happening. When you invest money, it doesn't grow the way a savings account does, dollar by dollar, slow and linear. It compounds, which means your money earns returns, and then those returns earn returns, and then those returns earn returns. The longer it rolls, the bigger it gets, not because you added more, but because of how long it's been moving. Now here's the problem. If you start at 25, your money has 40 years of compounding. The ball rolls from the top. If you start at 35, your money has 30 years. The ball starts halfway. That first decade, from 25 to 35, is not just 10 years of contributions you missed. It's 10 years of the most powerful compounding, the years where small amounts turn into large ones. Here's a number that makes this concrete. If you invest $500 at age 25, that single contribution, at 7% growth, becomes roughly $7,600 by age 65. The same $500 invested at age 35 becomes about $3,870. Same money, same return, 10 years apart. One produces twice as much as the other. Time is not neutral. It actively rewards people who use it early, and it quietly punishes everyone who waits. Money doesn't care about your reasons. It doesn't care that you had student loans. It doesn't care that the timing wasn't perfect. The math is running whether you're participating or not. Okay, so let's say Jake gets the message. He's 35. He sits down, opens a brokerage account, and decides to catch up. He wants that same $1.2 million at 65. He still has 30 years, 7% return. How much does he need to invest every month? Remember, When he was 25, the answer was $500. Now, he needs to invest over $1,000 a month, every single month, for 30 years, just to reach the same destination that $500 would have gotten him 10 years earlier. Waiting didn't just delay the outcome, it changed the entire effort required to get there. $500 at 25 is a gym membership and 2 dinners out. $1,050 at 35 is a serious lifestyle decision. That's the difference between saving comfortably and grinding. And the worst part? Most people at 35 don't make that jump. They adjust the goal instead of the contribution. They tell themselves, maybe I don't need $1 million. Maybe 600K is enough. And that's how the compounding trap works, not through failure, through slow, comfortable adjustment. Now let's make this more uncomfortable. That $1 million you're targeting? Let's talk about what it's actually worth. At 3% inflation, something that costs $1 today costs about $2.43 in 30 years, which means $1 million in 30 years has the purchasing power of roughly $412,000 in today's money. You're not saving for $1 million, you're saving for what $1 million will actually buy you. And if you're not accounting for that, you're chasing a number that gets smaller every year you wait. This doesn't mean investing is pointless. It means the stakes are higher than the number suggests. $1 million isn't the ceiling, it might be the floor. And it means that every year you delay isn't just a year of missed contributions, it's a year where the target has moved further and your starting position has gotten weaker. So why do people wait? Not because they're stupid, not because they don't care. The reason is simpler than that. Present bias. The human brain is wired to prioritize immediate experience over abstract future outcomes. $1 today feels more real than $5 in 20 years, even when the math says otherwise. This isn't weakness, it's biology. It's how we're built. That's why I'll start next year feels rational, because right now, next year feels close enough to be responsible and far enough to not require action. That's why I need more income first feels logical, because investing from a position of abundance feels safer than investing from a position of constraint, even when starting small is dramatically better than starting late. That's why markets are risky feels like wisdom, because short-term volatility is visible and scary, while long-term compounding is invisible and slow. The brain optimizes for comfort. Math optimizes for discipline. And in the gap between those two things, between how we feel and what the numbers say, that's where the $500,000 disappears. The good news is that you don't need to rewire your brain. You just need to make one decision that removes the need for ongoing willpower. Here's what actually works. Step 1. Start now, whatever amount you have. Not $500, not a perfect number, whatever you can move today. The amount matters less than the date. Starting with $100 a month at 25 beats starting with $500 a month at 35. The math is on the side of the start date, not the size. Step 2. Automate it. Set up an automatic transfer the day after you get paid. You don't see it, you don't choose it, it just moves. This eliminates the monthly friction of deciding whether to invest. And friction is where good intentions die. Step 3. Increase contributions as your income grows. Every time you get a raise, put half of the increase toward your investments before your lifestyle adjusts to the new number. This is how you scale without pain. These aren't revolutionary ideas, but the people who follow them consistently, without exception, starting early, are the ones the math rewards. The goal isn't to get rich fast. The goal is to build something that compounds long enough to become significant. And for that, time is the only input you can't buy back. Momentum over perfection. Back to Jake. Jake A waited. Started at 35. Life was comfortable at 25, 26, 27. No sacrifice, no discipline. Then at 35, he had to start playing catch-up. More money, more pressure, less room for error. He got to 600K. Not bad, but not what he wanted, and not what was possible. Jake B started at 25. Not with a lot, $500 a month. It wasn't easy, but he didn't really feel it after a few months. It was automatic. By 35, he had already built $86,000 in invested assets, and that number was compounding without him doing anything extra. By 65, he crossed $1.2 million. Same person, same income range, different start date. Here's the question that actually matters. Which version are you becoming? Not which version do you want to be, which version are you actively becoming right now, based on what you're doing this month? Because the answer to that question is already being calculated. That dot is today. Everything to the left of it is gone. You cannot invest in the past. You cannot recover years that already happened. But everything to the right of that dot is still open. And the math, the same math we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes, is still working, right now, in your direction, if you let it. You don't need to be rich, you need to not be late.